We're going to see just how many laws there are passed these days compared to how few when our country was founded. We're looking at a reprint collection of the laws passed by the United States Congress in its first 56 years. You can see this is a reprint. You can see that the collection is dated 1845, reprinted a century later. We're looking at public laws passed by the first Congress, which is to say, the first 2 years in which there were representatives and senators. You can see at the top of the page it says First Congress. And we don't have to turn all that many pages before we get to pages where it says at the top, Second Congress. The volume we've been looking at doesn't cover all of the laws passed from 1789 through the beginning of 1845. It takes 8 volumes to cover it all. That empty space you see on the shelf is where volume 8 will return. It's off shelf. Volumes 9 through 15 gets us from 1845 to 1869. Years 1887 to 1889 is in the oversized volume that's on its side. The bottom shelf takes us from volume 26 to volume 34, which is to say the 51st Congress to the beginning of the 59th. Volume 32 was off shelf. Here you can plainly read the years 1905 to 07 and 1907 to 09. It's standard here to have 2 volumes of medium width for each Congress. The shelf ends with the Congress of 1919 to 1921. This shelf begins with 1921 to 1923 and ends with 1929 to 1931, a Congress that continues on the next shelf. We now cover from midway into the 71st Congress into midway of the 76th, 1929 to 1939. 1941 is on this shelf. From this point, 2 volume numbers are assigned to each Congress. This shelf has only the 80th and 81st Congresses, 1947 to 1951. It's easy to read here, 1950 to 51 on 2 volumes, and 1951 by itself. We're leaving the side of the bookcase where we've covered 170 years. On the other side of the case, we'll cover only 39. You can see here 1959, 1960, and 1961. The shelf ends on 1967. On this shelf, we cover 1968 to 1976, the 90th through 94th Congresses in their entirities. That 1977 volume is fat, but we'll be seeing a lot of fat volumes here on out. We begin with the 95th Congress. We won't finish the 97th on this shelf. This shelf ends on the 99th Congress. The volume numbers are 99 and 100. Volume 100 on the last 3 books. Volume 102 is in 5 books. That is just 1 year, half of the 100th Congress. Volumes 101 and 103 are also on this shelf. Volume 104 is in 6 books, and that's just 1990. On this shelf, we finish off 1992 and then go through the end of 1994. This shelf is just the 104th Congress and the beginning of the 105th Congress. The bookcases we've been looking at have only brought us through year 1997. We've got to go to another bookcase to bring us up to date. You'll see that volume 112 is in 5 books. The empty spot is volume 13, book 1, so we don't have here the first 1,046 pages. This shelf has all of the books labeled as years 2000 through 2003. The volumes labeled for years 2004 through 2007 are on the present shelf. And this next shelf, years 2008, 2009, unless you thought I was going to say something else, I'm not. Those 2 years alone, one full shelf, and if you're waiting for us to go to yet another shelf to bring us truly up to date, tough luck. This is all there is. Now then, laws passed 2010 and later are available to you as a member of the public. You can go online. That's true of so many of these laws. But didn't the sight of all these books say to you just how much law there is to a much greater extent than had you just simply been told the number of words of law? Now, what we've been seeing includes a lot of law that has been superseded, revised, even repealed. To get a handle on the laws passed by Congress that are in effect at this time, see a separate video in this series on the United States Code. To find out about regulations that were never passed by the United States Congress, but which have the effect of law just the same, see the separate video in this series on Code of Federal Regulations. If you're interested in seeing how statutes become incorporated into the United States Code, I have a couple of web pages that show in separate boxes earlier code, the statute text that changes it, and the resulting later code. You simply click on the links shown here. The same website also lets you see the full text of the statutes and the full text at different times of the revised code. Limitation: the website only covers Title 17 of the United States Code. Title 17 covers copyrights. There are 49 titles in addition to that one. Those 49 additional titles cover a multitude of other subjects, the provinces of many federal agencies. If, while in Washington, D.C., you've seen these large buildings and wondered what went on inside them, well, the regulations we've seen is part of the answer. The fact that each of these departments has a head is why we can refer to a Secretary of Labor, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Agriculture. And that's why we see in the statutes, the Secretary shall determine, the Secretary shall determine, the Secretary shall determine.